In a sun-scorched village, where the fields cracked before the rains and the sky often held more dust than clouds, two boys were born in houses barely 10 steps apart, Gabriel and David. Life was hard, but their friendship was soft, pure, unshaken, and rare. Gabriel was the quiet one, the kind who listened more than he spoke, who stitched his books with needle and thread because he believed torn pages still had stories worth reading. David, on the other hand, was fire, restless, witty, always cracking jokes even when there was no milk in his house for tea. Together, they shared not just a childhood, but a belief that one day they would rise. Not just for themselves, but for their mothers who waited with hope in their eyes and tiredness in their bones, and for their fathers who had given up on dreams long ago. Their goal was the same: to become civil servants and bring light into the broken homes and broken systems they'd grown up in. Every evening, they studied under the same flickering bulb, the same old neem tree, their backs against cracked walls, memorizing history from textbooks older than they were. But as they reached their final year of preparation, life began testing them in ways no exam ever could. Gabriel's father collapsed one morning in the fields, leaving the family without income, and Gabriel with a choice: quit studying or find a way to keep going. The pressure began to eat at him. He started skipping meals. His notes got thinner, his eyes heavier. That's when David stepped in, not with noise, but with sacrifice. He sold the only bicycle he owned, the one he used to deliver vegetables early mornings, to buy Gabriel new shoes and some second-hand books. And quietly, without telling anyone, he gave up his spot at the village's only computer center. He gave Gabriel his login ID, his password, his access to the online mock tests he needed to succeed. And when Gabriel asked why he wasn't practicing anymore, David just smiled and said, "One of us has to get there, and you're faster, Gabriel. You were always faster." Gabriel, too buried in survival, didn't ask more. He studied harder. He pushed. And when the results came, his name was at the very top. All India rank 3. The village celebrated like never before. Newspapers called him a genius. Politicians called him the pride of rural India. But amidst the garlands and cameras, Gabriel noticed a silence. David wasn't there. Not at the school, not on the streets, not even at the ceremony where Gabriel's mother cried with joy in the front row. That night, long after the celebrations had ended and the village had gone to sleep, Gabriel walked in the pouring rain, barefoot, medal in hand, to a roadside tea stall on the edge of the highway. Under a dim light and a tin roof that leaked on one side stood David wearing a torn shirt, pouring chai into clay cups for truck drivers. Gabriel didn't speak. He just knelt down, hands shaking, and placed the gold medal at David's feet. "This was never mine," he said softly. "You gave up your future so I could build mine. I thought I was climbing a mountain alone, but now I see you were behind me the whole time, pushing." David, ever humble, just lifted him up and said, "A friend isn't someone who walks beside you during success. A friend is someone who disappears just enough so you can shine, but never so far that you fall." Years passed. Gabriel became an IAS officer. He worked in districts where children still walked barefoot to school, where forms were more confusing than laws, and where hunger had a face. But everywhere he went, he carried one lesson: success is meaningless unless it pulls someone else up with you. One winter morning, he returned to his village, not as a boy with dreams, but as a man who had made them real. He stood in front of a brand new school he had built with his first year's salary. Reporters stood by, cameras flashed. He pulled down the curtain on the inauguration plaque. It read, David Joseph Memorial School for Dreamers. In the front row, now wearing a simple white kurta and the same cracked glasses, sat David, no longer a helper at a tea stall, but now a respected schoolteacher in the very village they once studied in. Gabriel walked over, hugged him tightly, and whispered, "This school, this village, this change, it all started with a sacrifice no one saw, but I did." Because in a world chasing medals, promotions, and applause, the greatest success story was not the boy who topped the exam, but the friend who gave away his chance so another could rise. And in that quiet act of giving, he taught us all. True friendship is not about walking the path together, it's about lighting the way for someone else, even if it means staying in the shadows.